Hey, what's up, everybody? This is DJ Keo, and today I want to talk about this. This is the Rodecaster Pro, and I have a few thoughts about it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for watching. This is gonna be a lively discussion. I'll put it like that. I've been looking online for a while now, I guess like a month or 2 months, about this thing, and people are raving about it like this is the best thing since sliced bread. And you know what? To some regard, it is pretty good. This is a cool device, I have to say. I have a few problems with it, and I don't know if it's my workflow or if that's a problem for the overall device, but I'll get to that in a second. So, overall thoughts: sleek, really cool design. Build quality is pretty good. You know, channels and everything, faders and stuff is good. Buttons are solid. Touchscreen is phenomenal. Very responsive, works very quickly. Menu is actually pretty good. You know, even if you haven't seen anything about how this thing works, you can kind of figure out where things are and how to work stuff. I think that one thing about Rode is that they made this thing dummy proof, which is a plus and a negative, and I'll get to that in a second. But I think that they've gone out of their way to make this as smooth as possible, and it's easy for new people who get into podcasting to use it, and robust enough so people who know what they're doing, they can also use it and get a lot of value out of it. So to that regard, I would say this is a solid device. If I was going to give it a rating, and this is not really a review, but if I was going to give it a rating, I would say 4 out of 5, but it could have been a 5 out of 5 for a couple of reasons. Some of these are self-inflicted in my personal opinion about it, and other things are like, oh, this is a problem. Y'all need to fix this. And I'll even say this though. I think that a couple of these things are an easy firmware update and something that's probably on the works to get fixed in the first place. And a couple of these things are, what in the hell? How could you... All right, we'll get to that. Most likely these problems are more related to me and my use case of how I use this stuff. I don't know. I don't know. And you know what? I would like to hear what you guys think about it first, and then we'll go back and forth. So I'll say this though. Half of my problems could have been gone away with if I wasn't using this stupid microphone. Now, it is a standard, and it's been around for a long time. This is the old ass microphone. Everybody's using a broadcast or whatever for a long time. It sounds great, but it is gain hungry. And I solved this by getting a FET head, which is another thing. A lot of people are like, well, you just need a cloud lifter or whatever. No, not the problem, but I'll explain that in a second. So I'm currently using a Focusrite 2i2 or something like that. I love it. Gain is good. Sound quality is really good. Build quality is amazing. I'm not going to review it, but I'm just saying that that's currently what my vocal stream is coming from. And I'm going to give examples of what audio sounds like coming out of the Rodecaster. So I'll just say that. My current issue with it is because this microphone is so gain hungry, I need a way to get clean vocals out of my system. And I created this vocal chain, which is a couple plugins from Waves plugins, and, you know, some little magic behind the scenes to get my vocals sounding crisp and clean. And I think they do sound good. I don't know if they're the best on YouTube or whatever with this microphone. A lot of people just have the hiss going on and they're cool with it. I don't have... Like, I'm not in a complete studio base. Like, I have this wall back here and it's got sound stuff on there, but this whole entire area is not soundproof. So, you know, I can pick up radiator or air conditioner or cars driving by. You can hear all this stuff. But I think that wherever my vocal chain is, I'll probably explain this on another video, but I think it's clean enough and it sounds good and it's repeatable on different programs. So I use Ableton Live, and I use Adobe Audition, both of these programs, to record vocals sometimes, depending. Sometimes use podcasts, sometimes use live, sometimes use, it depends. It just depends. But it's repeatable, and I have it on my desktop and my laptop, which is currently recording this thing right now. So this is the audio coming from the Rodecaster Pro from the Shure SM7B into FedHead. Sorry, I had to draw a blank for a second. All right, so I have no effects processing on anything on any of the channels, the main out as well as the main channel. Okay, so this is with light effects. I only have a couple things on right now. I have the DSS, the de-esser. I have a compressor on, as well as the high pass filter, but everything else is off. And I have a light aural exciter. I have that on as well. So just the basic stuff. Audio levels are at, I believe, 24. And this is the street audio coming out of the Rodecaster Pro. This is a test of the audio coming exactly out of my Focusrite through the FedHead and the Shure SM7B. No effects, nothing coming straight from my computer as it stands right now. And here's the noise floor. The first thing that I hate, and I mean hate, about the Rodecaster Pro is the micro SD card slot. I hate micro SDs in general. I hate them on cameras. I hate them on computers. And I hate them especially on recording devices like this. And the thing is too, there's space. So it wasn't like this thing was all crammed together and there's no room to put this thing. You could put it on the side. You could put it in the back. You could put it in the bottom. You could put it in the front. There's places all over this thing. Sounds like the hokey pokey, but like there's places all over the device that you could have fit a full-size SD card on there. They chose a micro. It is not a deal breaker. I have a couple of these on a GoPro, so I just pulled one out the GoPro and plugged it in, and it was fine. But I would prefer a full size. But that's not my beefs. Obviously, Rode was like, hey, let's cater to all of our microphones and make our microphones the best experience. But a lot of people have this thing. A lot of people. And so using it with the Rodecaster is not pleasant. Put it like that. If you do not have a cloud lifter, technically the Rodecaster has enough gain, but your audio is not going to sound amazing right out the box. It's going to require some work, thus defeating the purpose of an all-in-one device. And it's one of my biggest issues with the Rodecaster is that this thing is phenomenal and I can do everything in it, but for my workflow and because of this microphone and how I want the sound and everything, I have to export it and then do work on it, and defeats the purpose. I may as well just use my Focusrite and plug directly into my computer. It's the same thing to me. I think that Rode should have microphone profiles for the most important, highest profile microphones in addition to all the Rode microphones. So things like lifting up the EQ correctly or whatever, or, making it a cleaner sound on a hardware level just for these type of microphones that have a high gain and this kind of stuff. I actually bought this thing because I didn't do any research, and this is my fault. And this is why I'm so anal about this stuff today. But when I bought it, I was like, well, everybody's using this thing on the internet, and I see this all the podcasts. This must be the best microphone to get. It is not the best microphone to get. It is one of the best microphones, but it's not the best one. And it's really terrible if you don't know what you're doing. I believe all of them, the Electro Voice microphone, that's a huge one. They use it in a lot of studios and podcasts. This one, Shure SM7B, they need to go through the gambit. All the top of the line, I would go up and say, podcasting microphones, $300-$400 and up, it should be built into this thing where you got a clean profile. You don't have to do any fitting, editing, whatever nonsense. Just press this button. Shure SM7B, bing, done. All the major microphones, there should be in there. Okay, so I have a list here. So if you see me looking down, looking at my list, there should be a way to clean up the hiss. And it depends on the microphone you're using and depends on how loud your mic is or the gain and all this other stuff. But there should be something, some kind of internal plugin or something that you can press to just minimize the hiss. Even if it's add an extra thing in there, reduce noise, background noise, hiss. Just a little thing in there. This is when I was like, really? That's what you're going with? There should be a button on the actual physical device to switch between the pads for your effects. And it should be more than 2 pads, or what is it? 16 pads? 64. Sky's the limit. Cycle through the buttons so that you can add more pads. Like, why is there just... okay. This is a firmware update. Not that big a deal. I think a lot of people have like that other pad thing. I forgot what it's called. I'll put it on the screen. A lot of people use that for effects and other stuff. A lot of this stuff is not even like a megabyte in size. They're really tiny files or waveforms. You can fit it on internal memory. Not that big a deal. Add a couple more pads. Okay, headphone amp. Hot trash. Hot garbage trash. I was trying to use it as a sound card and, listen to what I recorded through the Rodecaster. Terrible idea. Absolute terrible idea. Because the amps for your headphones are terrible. It's one of the worst amps I've ever heard for a headphone. Honest to God. Your own headphones should sound phenomenal. Because you kind of need to know that if it sounds good or not before you commit to recording this podcast. You can't tell. It sounds terrible. As one of the worst headphone preamps I've ever heard in my life. This one's a nitpick. This thing is supposed to be an all-in-one device that you record it and then take it to the cloud and off you go with your podcast. There should be at a minimum ACC or MP3 export feature on this thing. I think that's simple logic. Like that should, I don't know. That seems like simple logic. I don't know if it's a big deal to some people because I think that a lot of people who use this still have to take it out of here and put it into another program, which annoys me to no end because this is supposed to be an all-in-one device. But all right, I'm repeating myself here. The file that's supposed to be the multi-track file, why would you go this route? I don't understand that. That blows my mind. It should be separate files. Why is it not separate files? That doesn't make sense to me. Why? I couldn't wrap my head around it. Why is it one large file instead of separate files? I don't need all 8 files on here. Most podcasts I record is like maybe 2 people. Tops. So all these extra files in here, I don't need them, but it's coming in the file too. And everything's like, why? Why would you go that route? Separate the files and only send me the files for stuff I used. I don't need a blank file for an hour long of channel 3 that I didn't touch. That's not even activated. It should tell, the computer inside should tell you, hey, everybody, I'm using channel 1, channel 2, and channel 13, which I think is the effects channel. Multi-tracking experience is hot. Hot garbage. Hot garbage. I've never seen such a bad implementation of a sound card for a device like this in my lifetime. I've never seen it this bad. I know it was an afterthought because I think they designed this thing to be all in one. And people were like, but I want to plug it into my computer. Like, damn it. So they basically created, well, no, we got to do the history first. That they suggested you use the ASIO for all instead of them creating their very own ASIO file. Blows my mind. I cannot believe they did that. And then the thing is, too, the ASIO thing has the multi-track stuff, but it's complicated as all hell and is real fidgety. And I got to be honest, I still haven't gotten it to work. I've been working on this thing for a couple of days now, solid. And between doing a wedding, I think I'm not going to talk about that, right? But I'm just saying, I've been spending all my free time trying to get this thing to work. And the thing is too, like, I'm fairly technical, right? I am not an idiot. Oh, I am an idiot, but I'm not a dummy, right? I know what I'm doing when it comes to computers and technology. And I could not wrap my head around getting this thing to work. Now, here's the thing. I can record the audio. I can't listen to it. That is a problem. That's a colossal problem. And the file that they give you to work on doesn't work. It doesn't do anything. I tried. It doesn't do anything. I couldn't believe how badly this thing was implemented. And to me, it seems like it was more of a, crap, we got to go create this thing now. And they weren't ready for it or whatever. I do think that if there's a Mark II version of this, it's going to have all this stuff out the box and it's going to work great. But this Mark I version, good God, man. Terrible. And so for me and my workflow, I tried, I would say 4 or 5 microphones on there and varying degrees of success. I did have, I forgot what it's called. Audio Technica 2020. I had one of those microphones. It was one of my first microphones on the channel, but I used that. And because it's not gain hungry, worked flawlessly. Actually sounds pretty good. It sounds better than I thought it did. But I have this microphone. I didn't spend $400 to go use a $100 microphone. Getting this microphone to sound good without ridiculous amount of hiss, even with my cloud lifter and gain, hiss was ridiculous. Basically, I was relegated to was recording it straight and then putting it on my computer and then running my vocal chain that I normally do for all this other stuff through it. I didn't want to do that. If I have to do that, I may as well use my Focusrite because I would do that right now. Why would I add a whole other thing that I didn't need to buy and go do this process when I already have a working thing right now? So I'll say this, all right? If you use the correct microphone and you're trying to do everything inside the actual device itself, 5 out of 5. Great. Runs great. A lot of this stuff that I was talking about is more nitpicks and stuff that you can kind of get around, or it's not even that big a deal. Works great. For my workflow, terrible. Absolute terrible. Now, is it unusable? No. It's fine. It's actually fine. I just couldn't get the multi-track thing to work directly into my computer. If I can figure that out, this whole review and my interpretation of what I think about this thing is completely different. Completely different. I have the latest firmware update. I have the latest SIO from Rode. I've tried everything. Can't get it to work. I will say this, though. They're doing regular updates, so I commend them on the regular updates thing, but they need to have audio profiles for microphones like this. They have to. They have to. For me, a lot of people were fine with their hiss or whatever the output was. For me, that was a no-go. I did not like it at all. So, everybody's a different person. Some people are cool with it. Some people are not cool with it. Some people had like a dynamite stick or a cloud lifter. I use the Fed head. My Fed head works phenomenally for how I'm using everything right now as it stands. So it should also work phenomenally on this thing too. It does. It works. Like I had my gain at 18 or 20, around 18 and 20. And I was getting clean audio in, output, a lot of hiss. And I think that if this thing had an EQ, something to reduce hiss, or just a little noise reduction, minor noise reduction, and an EQ on here, I probably would have been a lot more happier with this device. And the thing is, the EQ is a firmware update. It's not that big a deal, as is the hiss thing. This simple firmware update. A lot of this other stuff, I think, is just me nitpicking. I don't think it's that big of a deal. A couple of these things are huge. The multi-track thing, that is huge. I refuse. I refuse. Without that, I refuse. I rebuke that, all right? Listen, separate files. and just give me the files that I recorded. I don't need all the other files. Separate files. All right. Whoo-saw. Anyways, you know what? Let me know what you guys think about this. This is a solutions channel. So if I figure this thing out, I'm going to make another video praising this thing to high heaven about how great it is. This is a solid piece of tech. If we're going to do live streams or podcasts and you have a different microphone that's not gain hungry, this thing is phenomenal. Let me know what you guys think about this below. If you have any answers to the stuff that I said, leave a comment below. I'll message you and I'll figure this thing out. Also, if you want to support the channel, you can buy something from my t-shirt shop. Link is in the description. It got some cool shirts in there. New shirts are going to be in the store this week. This week. I got to deal with some stuff, so I'll say this week. I had a slight delay because I didn't like how they're printing, so this week. So anyways, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Hit the comment section down below. And peace out, bitches.